I'm Bill Auten of Auten Claims Management.
I'm Chantal Roberts of CMR Consulting, and welcome to the Art of Adjusting podcast.
Today, we're going to talk about life as an insurance adjuster from the perspective of property, auto, liability, or workers' compensation adjusters. Our goal is to bring interesting topics in the world of claims adjusting to people who are working as an adjuster now and to people who are considering a career as a claims adjuster. Chantal, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. We're getting close to the Thanksgiving Day week. So this week, we're going to talk about all the great things we're thankful for.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Uh,
So, are we going to talk about things we're thankful for in our careers or our personal lives?
I was going to just do D all of the above because first of all, I just want to say how thankful I am for you because you,
Oh,
I know, I know, giggity. I'm thankful for the fact that you handed over your podcast and the daily claims and kind of took over. I'm also thankful for you that we can sit here and just kind of riff off of one another. Um, Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, and that's what makes it fun. And
yeah.
so I am just thankful to have you here to help me because and you have been actually a couple of recently handling the podcast by yourself because I've had a couple of emergencies, family
Yeah.
emergencies, and I know how hard it is just to sit here and fill air for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. I mean, it's hard. We make it look easy because we're so smart and intelligent, not to mention good looking. But yeah, so thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I would give the thanks right back to you too. And I didn't turn over I mean, I did, well, what we
I feel
did
you
was
did.
we
I feel
we
you
we
did.
merged two really good ideas and two
Yeah.
really good personalities into what we have now. And so that's the way I see it. And I'm thankful for that too.
Yeah.
And it's good to have a partner in these things because when you are doing something solo,
Hmm.
it requires a little bit of scripting. Otherwise, you wind up really going off the into the weeds. So
Yeah.
it's just a little more work and it's less enjoyable than having somebody to talk to. So thank you for that. And that's why you're here,
Yeah.
because just to do it by myself is simply not as fun.
No.
And it is funny because on some topics I run shorter than I would like, and on other topics I just really run a little long.
Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying because when I was promoting the Once Upon a Claim, I knew I wanted to market it for a year, and I preloaded as much as I could into, Insta and TikTok and all that kind of stuff with the blog post and the, funny Fridays and what have you. But it just got to the point 9 months in, I was over this because
Hmm.
basically I felt like I was just talking out into a void and nobody was talking back. And
Yeah.
at least our four listeners are very vocal. I mean, they do talk to us and I do enjoy that. So I'm thankful for our four listeners.
There, speaking of listeners, just so you guys know, anybody who is listening, the four of you, when I look at stats, I can see the cities where people are listening, which is interesting. And there's this one city in Europe, it's in Great Britain somewhere. And
Hmm.
I don't know who you are, but it looks like you listen to every one of them. So
You
shout
need to
out,
drop us a
hello.
line.
Yeah, let me know who you are, you weirdo. Now,
No, no, no,
actually,
no. You know
I have
what
a,
though? I'm thinking maybe that person is with Lloyd's. And
oh, that could be.
and maybe we can have a whole episode about the Lloyd's market because a lot of
Yeah.
people think that Lloyd's itself is an insurance company,
Mhm.
and it is not.
Right.
So maybe our English listener would love to come on with their accent and
Could be. I don't know who it is. Now, I have a cousin over there. I don't think it's her though.
oh, okay.
And if it is, hi, Louise. Um,
Hi.
but yeah, so that's interesting. And then there was another one in Germany the other day. Um,
Oh,
so now I think that some of these things are Russian bots and stuff. So who knows what is
this is
actually going on there?
that would be okay. Except, I have been approached by various people who are like, "Hey, we can put you up into the number one slot by, having these bots that pass through YouTube or whatever, and they don't get caught." And well, I mean, that's great and all, but nah, we're
We
happy with
could
our four listeners and our one English listener.
we could bore the bits and bytes out of any bot.
We could. We could. Yeah, and I am also thankful for the support that we get. Like our listeners, they are very vocal. They're nice. We haven't gotten any bad stuff,
We have
reviews
no
or whatever. I
trolls
mean,
or
there's some,
anything like that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there are trolls out there. There are some mean people, especially when you're hiding behind the internet and
Mhm.
stuff. Every once in a while, I would get someone on social media who would do, say some kind of, women hating kind of thing or whatever. But I've been very fortunate here, so I'm very thankful for that as well.
People do like to bash insurance companies, and because
Mhm.
we are related to the insurance industry, you would think that we would might get a little more heat. Um, but the worst I get uh, has been just kind of off-color comments about, insurance companies want to screw people or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we deal with that, but that's the worst. But another thing I'm thankful for are the guests that come on, and we've
Oh
had
yeah,
some really good ones and
yeah.
some return ones from time to time. And so guests are always fun. We always learn something new when we have a guest on. So
We are going to be closing out this year with two more guests. In fact,
yep,
one is going to be super fun. The guy's name is Mike Connell. He will be talking to us about like records requests, and you will be interested in that, I'm sure, because you said that you get or you ask for Freedom of Information Act, or Freedom of Information like all the time. You send
all the
those
time.
requests,
Yeah.
yeah.
Fire reports, police reports, dog bite information from the local health department. So there's a lot of records that property records, inspection records from like DDS, DSS, not
Yeah.
the dentist, um, Department of Social Services. They inspect properties and so there's a lot of FOIL requests that we do. And I had done a video on FOIL requests. I think it was on YouTube, but I took all the YouTube stuff down. I should probably revisit that.
You
Anyway, that
should. I
that
mean,
topic is pretty interesting. But when you start to look at the regulations surrounding FOIA requests or Freedom of Information Act request, and the anyway, we're talking about what we're thankful about today, not FOIA requests. So I'll shut up.
well, no, 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 no. I mean, be thankful that we live in some kind of society where we can get that kind of information
Yeah,
because there
yeah.
are those kind of societies that you can't. And I remember talking to a friend of mine who is from the Ivory Coast, and he's not a citizen yet. I'm sure he's trying to become one, and it's a long process to become a citizen. And he was talking about how wonderful this country is. And I know that we have just had a very contentious election series or what have you, wherever you stand on that. But at least we can ask for these things and we
Right.
can get this kind of information. There are so many societies out there, governments out there that don't give it to us. So I mean
You
that
just
that has
reminded me
been.
of something else I'm thankful for. No more campaigns.
Oh gosh, yes. It's okay. So funny side note. I was waiting with bated breath for the, November 6th to or 5th to be here. Well, I guess November 6th, so it'd be the next day. So I would no longer get these send me money texts and
Mhm.
all of that. And I kid you not, I got a text the next day saying, let's do blah, 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 and sign this petition. And I'm like, dude, I thought I wasn't going to get any more of these things. Oh, it's killing me.
Once they get their
Uh,
hooks in you, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it's like, oh, that kind of sucks. But yes, thankful for no more send me money kind of text. That's great. Um, yeah.
I'm thankful for my family,
Of
my kids and my beautiful wife
Yes. I was
and
I was going to say thankful for my husband and Amy, but,
yeah.
because they really support us,
Yep.
um, and put up with our shenanigans. So,
My wife loves the ads that you put on LinkedIn for these episodes,
oh, good.
and she always looks for them and then she plays them, and I hear my voice played over and over, and she just sits there staring at them, and then she goes, "That was funny."
One of these days I'm going to come up to New York and she and I are going to go out.
Oh yeah,
And we're going to go
you
drinking
should.
and
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so we're going to have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Or we're going to come down there, and we've talked about
yes.
it a few times.
Yes.
In fact, there was something that came up near you. I can't remember what it was. It
We
might
do
have
have
been like
barbecue
a,
down here. So, I
oh, I didn't
mean,
know that.
I mean, you know,
It was no, it was like a train trip or something.
huh.
I can't remember. I'll
Oh,
have to
there was
look
like
for
Big
it.
Bertha or something that came through. Um,
Maybe that was
yeah, it
it.
was like a steam locomotive thing. This
Or a
is going to be
river
the most
thing
random uh
episode. Yeah, I know.
episode, but and the funny thing is that we planned it. We planned on talking about what we were thankful for because we wanted to do something a little different, or I wanted to do something a little different because we've done the gratitude thing, we've done the
Mhm.
treat yourself, but I do like themes. I love themes. So
We always have a loose outline, I guess,
yes,
for what we talk about, and we ramble on, and we put up some guardrails, and we kind of stay in between those guardrails for
yeah,
the most part. So an episode like this is good though because
yeah,
we can just talk about whatever,
yeah,
and the things we're thankful for.
yeah.
So. And this Thanksgiving for me is going to be a little different because we're going to be trucking down to Florida.
Your son's graduating.
He's graduating,
Yay.
and so we're gonna. He's in a program where they kind of roll over every month.
Hmm.
It's a condensed bachelor's degree, and he happens to be finishing in November. So we're gonna pack him up, bring him home, and then he's gonna go find a job.
Well, that's fantastic. I
Yeah,
remember when my brother-in-law graduated from college. He, unfortunately, I was not thankful for this. This is something I was not thankful for. He graduated in December, in an Iowa December, and it happened to be like one of the coldest Decembers. And I think I've told a similar story or something like this. It was so cold that the ice or that came off of my shoes in the car was still there in the car the next morning. That's how cold it was. And I was not happy with my brother-in-law. And I told him in no uncertain terms that next time he graduates, he needs to like at least skip or not take one class so that he graduates in May.
or go to
Because
school in Arizona, maybe.
yeah, or something, because that is just not cool. Or it was cool. By cool, I mean very, very, very cold. It was not fun. I was not thankful for that. Although I am thankful for all the pretty leaves
How
that
far
have,
is Iowa from you? Can you drive there?
yeah, yeah. Like Des Moines
Yeah.
is 3 hours. So, I mean,
Oh,
it's
okay.
really quick. And
Yeah.
he was going to northern Iowa. So that's about 5 hours, 6 hours, somewhere around there. And that's where Aaron's family still lives. And
Got it.
in fact, we're going to be going up in a couple of weeks because his mother is turning something. I probably shouldn't say it on Probably shouldn't say that, but
Turning an
thankful.
awesome age, I'm sure.
Yes, and thankful for health. How about that? Let's,
Oh
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
that's the normal thing that we are all thankful for. You, like I said, had filled in for a family emergency, and it had to do with health.
Mhm.
And so it is always good that we also live in a society where we have really good health care. We may hate our health insurance, and I don't know the first thing about it. Health insurance, health insurers. I think they give us all a bad name, but
Mhm.
I mean, thankfully
Well,
we have some.
that is
Y-
one of the main groans that you get from people when you tell them you work in the insurance business is
yes.
that most people associate it with health insurance before anything else.
Mm.
The people that, I mean, everybody has a bee in their bonnet in some segment of this industry. Sometimes it's homeowners, they maybe somebody had a claim in their house, they had a big battle with their insurance company. So they hate, homeowners insurance. Other people had a bad experience with the car, so they hate auto insurance. But I think if you speak in general terms, if you ask somebody, what does insurance mean to you? I think most of them will think probably health insurance first, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you there. And I think everybody kind of hates health insurance. You
And
know.
it's funny too, the terminology across all the segments of business that gets mixed up. There's
Yes.
acronyms that people use in one area and not the other, and that can be a challenge too.
I
Uh,
agree. And when I was teaching it, I I talk about that because, health insurance has co-insurance
mhm,
and health insurance has a deductible.
mhm.
But what's
And copays.
yes, and copays. Well, but property damage and casualties, we don't have copays,
No.
unless you want to call it a deductible. But in health insurance, copay and deductible are two separate things.
Yeah,
Like you can meet your deductible, but you still owe a copay. And
right.
you're like, dude, that is so does not make sense, you know?
It is weird. And if you were to do a copay on the property side, what would that look like?
Oh, I think it would be an additional deductible, wouldn't it?
Right. It
I
would be
mean, I mean,
like a
technically
deductible
that's
for
what.
the loss, and then you pay 10 cents on the dollar for every shingle.
Yeah. And then you would have a co-insurance issue on top of that. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah,
But there's always, I think, a co-insurance issue and that's what I'm saying is that the problem with health insurance is that you don't get the policy. So you never know
that's
what's
right.
going on.
And
You get a summary, but
it's
it
far more complex
yes.
than it should be.
Yes.
I mean, we think a
Absolutely.
homeowner's policy is but
Oh,
most people think a
no.
homeowner's policy is complex, and it
Yes.
it is,
Yes.
but when it comes to your health, does it need to be that complicated? I
I
mean, really?
no. What do I know?
Yeah. We've
Yes.
never done an episode on health insurance.
It's mostly we probably could. I will tell you this. I was this many years old before I found out that I actually will have to pay a premium for Medicare. Um,
Yep. Yeah, if
when
you want
when
part A or B, I think it is.
well, even C,
Yeah,
because I thought. I thought that well, I mean, because what are we paying Futra and Sutra and Mutra and Putra and whatever? I mean,
right.
like, what are we paying all these, employment taxes for? And we pay in for Medicare and, Social Security and yada, yada, yada. So I thought, you know what? I'm prepaying my premiums. So why would I have to pay premiums for Medicare when I am 77 years old and I don't have a paycheck coming in, except
Yeah,
for Social Security, which would be like, I don't know, $300. It's not going to be enough, right?
right.
I was shocked. I am not
I
at all
I was
happy
under
about
the
this.
assumption that there was like a basic Medicaid level coverage with Medicare, and that if you wanted the extras,
The,
that's
the,
that's what you are paying for. I don't know that that's how it works, but that's the way my brain decided it worked.
That's what I thought. But
Yeah.
then I found out I was wrong this year.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting. I
yeah.
didn't know you were old enough to collect Medicaid, Medicare.
It's all this wonderful washing and everything. So I'm thankful for running water and being able to wash my face so I look so young and beautiful. No, I have a friend who is a social worker and she deals with Medicare quite a
Mm.
bit. And so I asked her to come into my class and talk about it, because she had made a post about how, uh, don't get Part D, or I'm sorry, don't get Part C. Part C is the individual where you go through, like Aetna or Blue Cross Blue Shield, or whatever. Okay, so there's Part A, which is like your hospital. Part B, which is like your doctor's office. Part C is the one that you pay for extra, and they also include vision and dental and that sort of thing. And then there's Part D, which is drugs. And that's the easy
Mm.
one because it's D,
Yeah.
drugs. Okay.
Right.
You do have to pay extra for Part D, right? But she's like, don't get C. And I'm like, why? Because C includes vision and dental and yada, yada, yada. Parts A and B do not. And she's like, because Part C is super restrictive because you're going through all of those like Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield and United Healthcare and blah, blah, blah. And what they will say is like, if you need care in nursing home care or whatever, they limit you to 100 days.
Hmm.
And,
Okay.
and I'm like, oh, this is why there was that big expose about how people were getting kicked out of like nursing homes or rehabilitation facilities, for 6 months. And she's like, yes. Like on the 99th day, they were getting kicked out, whether they were good or not.
Hmm.
And then they have to reset it for 6 months before they were being able to get brought back in because they were on Part C. And I'm like, oh,
I
so
think it'd be great to have somebody who is kind of an expert in that in Medicare to come on and just
we
have us ask questions because we're dumb and we can ask all kinds of questions. I
we
think
we
one,
can.
I think each year we should do one Medicare guest and one life insurance guest. But the life insurance guest is going to be tough because it's going to be all these salespeople that want to sell
Oh
people life
yeah.
insurance policies.
I do know one guy. You may know him. Oh, what is his name? Rafael Gonzalez.
I
He,
do know that name. Why do I
um,
know that name?
well, the reason we all know his name is because he is fantastic with CMS and the adjusters having to know
Oh,
about,
yes.
contacting Medicare, Medicaid to find out if there are any liens. Now, he's a genius about that. Now, whether he can explain Medicare, Medicaid to us, I have
Well,
no idea.
as somebody to come on and talk about CMS,
Mm.
that alone would be
Oh,
worthwhile.
yeah. We
And I
should reach
would
out to him.
totally count that. So,
Um,
Rafael
Rafael, you
Gonzalez.
know what's funny? I am thankful for the fact that we, our four listeners have actually given us some ideas to talk about, and our
Hmm.
2025 schedule is getting full.
Yeah.
Our topics, and I remember thinking when we were first starting, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to talk about?
I
Oh,
I knew that when I was on my own, that was the challenge. And there were many months that would go by where there were no episodes just because I didn't have time. I couldn't think of anything, and it wasn't a priority. But once you came and we just started talking,
mm.
then all of a sudden the ideas started to pop.
and
So
And that's why I'm thankful for you. Because yeah, I mean, I'm being cheesy, but I'm not really being cheesy because I mean, that's what I'm talking about is that it does kind of pop off that way. And, we bounce ideas off of one another. And I think it makes it a little bit more interesting to listen to as well.
yeah, oh, sure, for sure. It's a highlight of my, every 2 weeks,
Mm.
even though, even though I get so buried in work and it hurts sometimes, not hurts, but it's just
Why?
like to break the stream of work is just against my, the way I'm wired. But I'm glad I do it, and to actually take the time to stop and talk with you and get these episodes done, because I think they're worthwhile. I don't know about the public in general so far, but
But
they're definitely worth it for me, because we are talking through so much stuff here that, and I don't know if you know this, but I'm building a business here. And that business, when the things that we talk about are threaded throughout the way my business operates.
yeah,
And it helps me to organize things, because I've got to train people on how to do the stuff that we do. And so very valuable all the way
yeah,
around. So everybody should keep listening, because you're going to be a
absolutely.
genius by the time we're retired.
Absolutely. And you mentioned us talking and about how refreshing it is. I have a friend who was quite stressed about the election results. And so I said, okay, yeah, and we're also like workout accountability buddies.
Mm.
And I had sent her a picture of me working out, and she goes, "Man, I haven't worked out all week. I just, I'm not feeling up to it." And I said, "Okay, here is your punishment. You have to go walking with me and Blue, my dog, at the dog park today." And that's what we did. And it was refreshing to be there and just talk with your friends. And even though we weren't talking about anything in general, I was entertaining her with stories of my life, just to keep her mind off things. But it is good to have friends and have that fellowship sometimes.
Yeah.
Even though you're in the middle of working, I've got a file right now where just the claim file itself is 9,900 pages. That doesn't include the depositions that I have to read, all of the plaintiff stuff that I have to read, all of the contractor stuff that I have to read, which I just got in today. That was 5 pages of like 3,000 pages, or 5 files of 3,000 pages each. So however much that is, I don't even
Well,
know. Yeah, I
how you
mean,
eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right?
yeah, and it's so easy to, like you said, want to cancel or not do these sorts of things, but it's also good to take that stop
Mm.
and talk it out with people.
Yeah, yeah. On big cases like that, my preferred method is a long table.
Yeah,
If you've got physical files,
paper documents. Yeah.
if it's digital, I kind of do the same thing, but in PDF format. But I just categorize everything into little buckets, and it it might be, if you got 9,000 pages, you might have 15 piles that
Yeah.
you can separate this goes here, this goes there, and then you can break things down further. That's just the way my mind works. Other people just want to sit there and go from page 1 to page 9,993.
Yeah. I'm like you. I find it to be very easy to break it down. And when I did have, and I mean, we're all supposed to be quote unquote paperless, but even when I got those 400 page demands or whatever, I would kill a tree and print all of those out, and I would be at home, the dining room table, for example, putting everything into the categories so that I could visually see, oh, they're getting treatment on a Sunday. Or, they're doing this and they're not doing that and whatever. So I could have that visual, because I found it to be much harder to do it when it was sometimes on a computer screen.
Yeah, a lot of this job is breaking the complex into the simple as
Mm,
much as you can, because at the end of the day, all of the complex stuff needs to be broken down and explained to somebody who has no idea what it is.
yeah.
That might be a judge, it might be a jury, it might be a supervisor
Mm,
where you're trying to get authority.
yep. Or,
So
or
you
the
have
Department
you
of Insurance.
yeah, you've got
Yeah.
to take this 9,000 pages of stuff and be able to make it into coherent. story that you can
Yeah.
tell. I always tell people that our claims reporting is really just storytelling. I had a vendor call me, and we had a chat, Zoom chat about their claim system, and they're trying to sell this claim system to companies like mine and insurance, mostly insurance companies. And they asked about reporting, and I said, yeah, we do reporting every day. And then he started to show me these spreadsheets and stuff. I said, no, 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 that's not the kind of reporting we do. I mean, we do
Mhm.
when we need to, but our reports are like caption reports that
Right.
adjusters do. And I said, these are stories that we tell. And they were like, wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we do.
Yeah. Well, I know that you and I've talked about it before about hints to our maybe C-suites or managers who may be listening. If you're looking for adjusters, some of the best adjuster or one of the best adjusters that I ever got was a news cameraman, a photojournalist
Right.
who had been fired and because he knew how to tell a story. So
Yep.
all I had to do was teach him how to read the policy. And then once he had that framework, he could apply the story to the framework, which was the policy. And he was a great adjuster.
Yeah. You bring, I mean, there is some news reporting skills you have to
Mm,
have.
yeah.
I've never been a journalist. I've never thought about being a journalist, but um, I in school I took a lot of writing courses and was always pretty good at communicating through writing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a skill, and
How about being thankful for all of our teachers?
like photography too.
That is a huge, huge photo lens right
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Wow. But I mean, shout out to all of our teachers, right?
yeah.
For putting up with us and then teaching us how to write, how to think.
And how to write in cursive. I hear
Oh
they're not
yeah. So
teaching
we
that
can so we
anymore.
can pass notes to one another when we're in the nursing homes. Have you
Yeah.
seen that meme where it says, like we can't wait to be where we're going to be in the nursing homes because we're going to be able to plot getting out of the nursing home because we're going to write notes in
Writing cursive.
cursive and none of the nurses and anything are going to be able to read it. And then we're going to get away by driving a stick vehicle.
Right.
And so like they can't like not, you know, disable the car because they can't drive
Right.
a stick.
Well, I we stopped doing signed statements here a couple of years ago just because I had asked more of my clients about it and they preferred the recorded statements. Some of the older folks preferred the written statement just because it's the old school
Yeah.
method. But you can't make a signed statement, written statement in person if you can't write in cursive. It's just you'll be there forever if you're going to print every.
I don't
So
know though. I mean, because my stepchildren can write pretty quickly.
can they?
Yeah, but it's not in cursive.
My signed statements are generally 5 to 8 pages,
Yeah.
and they would take about an hour, maybe hour and a half, depending on I mean, some people will just ramble and
Mm.
which is good. You just let them go. But
I have never seen the purpose of a written statement, to be honest with you, because I guess it's just my little suspicious mind. I just think it's way too easy to cultivate maybe what we're going to say, whereas sometimes, and I'm not saying that adjusters should trick, that's not what I'm saying. Uh, a person may let something go that they don't mean to let go. And and you can pick up on that.
there's certainly more nuances in a recorded statement
Yeah.
that you pick up on. People will say things, maybe make a small comment
Hmm.
that builds on something else that wouldn't maybe happen if you were in a signed statement situation, although it should because you're still listening and you're still asking questions to build that statement out. But the main
Okay.
reason I ever got for people preferring them is that it is a signed a
Mm,
signed document, and
mm.
it can be entered as evidence much easier, because if it's just a recording, or if it's a transcript of a recording, then you've got to go through some exercises with that witness to, is this really your voice? Do you remember giving this statement? Do you remember saying this? And they say, no, I don't remember,
That's so
so
funny. Yeah, I've never had that. So, okay. Side note, I assumed, because I have never done a written statement, that, and I guess the only written statements that I have ever seen are where the insurance company has written down a question and then the insured or the claimant wrote the answers themselves. So you're saying you asked the question, you're there in the room with the person,
oh
and
yeah, yeah.
then you write their answers.
It's a learning opportunity. Okay, here's how you
Oh,
do a signed statement. So if I'm taking a statement from you, I sit across from you and I got pages of lined paper in front of
uh-huh.
me. And I'll ask your name, and I'll write it like this. My name is Chantal Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
I reside at da 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 da. My phone number is this. And I will write it in the first person like that. Um, and then on such and such a date, I slipped and fell and, broke my whatever. So that's how you write it. You write it as if the person is saying this, then you hand it to them and make them read it and give them the pen and say, is there anything you'd like to change? Just cross it off, initial it, and write in the way it should read. And yeah, that's how you do a signed statement. So it is their version of events that they sign every page. So in like a evidence kind of setting, that is their signed, all they have to ask is this your signature? Did you
Right.
read this before you signed it? Yes, yes. So then versus the recording where, it sounds like my voice, but I don't actually remember saying anything like that. Those are the loopholes that happen. Now, there's loopholes on either side too, because one of the arguments against signed statements is, did you actually write this statement or did the
Right.
adjuster? Well, the adjuster wrote it. Well, did they write what you said exactly? Pretty close, I think,
Yeah.
so.
Um, okay, so I do remember this one thing about, because you and I came into the insurance industry pretty much at the same time.
Mhm.
Um, and I think written statements were just going out when we were coming in. It was all moving towards, you know, recording statements, and mostly because we all now had portable cassettes,
Yeah,
portable,
recorders.
recorders that we could use. And I do remember specifically learning, and I thought it was super shady, or as the kids these days call it, sus for suspicious, super
I think
sus.
that's even old now.
Yeah, it probably is. Let's say if Professor Roberts knows the word sus, it's going to be old. But, but that you were supposed to, as an adjuster, somewhere put something incorrect. Like
Oh, in a
if the
signed
person
statement.
says, I broke
Yeah,
my right arm, you're supposed to say, and I broke my left arm. And that person is supposed to, like your claimant, being first party or third party, is supposed to like cross it out and put right arm. It
right.
shows that they are paying
They
it.
read it.
And I remember thinking that's wrong. I mean, it's no wonder where we get this reputation that adjusters are quote unquote trying to trick you.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful, again, going back to our thankfulness that we don't have to do that anymore. I'm not out there to trick people. I'm out here to close my files, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I've heard that argument many, many times. And in fact, I've had claim supervisors come back to me over my entire career and say, well, you did make a mistake in here for them to cross out. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just playing games.
It is
And
playing games. And you have to remember too, these statements that we're taking, they're they are gathering evidence, but they're not to be gotcha documents either.
exactly.
Depositions, a little different.
You
A
could, yes.
deposition, that's where the attorney is really going to dig in
Mm-hmm.
and ask the questions that are going to, if they can sink that case, they're going to do it in a deposition. We're not deposing people.
Right.
We're
Not
getting the
even in an
facts.
EUO. Not even in an EUO, although an
Right.
EUO is like a step up from the statement and a step down from a deposition, but I mean, I don't think that we're trying to do that gotcha kind of
No,
thing in an EUO.
it's an information gathering
Mm,
exercise.
yeah.
And if there's something incorrect in someone's statement, um,
You can change it.
there's latitude to
Yes.
change it.
Yes.
Even if someone said I tripped and broke my right ankle,
Hmm.
and they call back the next day, I said right ankle, it's my left ankle. I don't know what I
Right.
was thinking.
Got it. Yeah.
It's no big deal. The medical records are going to show it's
The
you know,
left ankle.
so people misspeak, and it's not always for now. Sometimes we do get into situations where people play games and they're saying things that are untrue.
Hmm.
And embellishing, that happens. We get it. But it's very rare actually where someone um, is is really trying to lie. Like the people that you see online in the videos where they just lay down on the sidewalk and claim they fell.
Yeah.
We see that sometimes, but
Yeah. 9 times out of
once a
10.
year, maybe.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10. So I am thankful that we, as the industry, have kind of progressed. Um, some people feel that we haven't, but I feel like we have. I am thankful that this is a really good job. It's a well-paying job. It does have a lot of stress, don't get me wrong, but I like the fact that we're helping people.
I'm thankful that it's been such a great career for 30 years, almost 30 years now.
Mhm.
What year is it?
It's
Tw-
24, but it's almost 25. Can you believe that?
I
It's
know.
almost 2025. I'm
So
grateful I've lived this long.
yeah, I think I'm on year 28 or 29. I
Yeah,
can't
wow.
remember.
Uh-huh.
Um, and it's funny because I got on the phone with somebody, a policyholder, and I was trying to explain to him that I need his cooperation. And he goes, "Oh, you don't worry, don't worry." He says, I know how this goes. I've been doing this longer than you. I'm like, really? He goes, I've been doing this 40 years. I'm like, okay, you've been doing it longer than me.
So the person that you were talking to was an insurance adjuster?
No, they've been dealing with managing properties where
Uh,
people make claims against the
Oh,
property.
oh, oh, oh,
So
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. People may not realize this, but that's part of the deal when you own a big commercial property of some sort, whether it's
Hmm.
retail or habitational. It comes with the territory. The more people you have, the more likely you are going to be dealing with claims
Yeah,
on a year-to-year basis. It
yeah,
just comes with the territory, and these folks are kind of used to it. And then when they go home every night and see the news and all the attorneys ads come
yeah,
on, it just makes them livid,
yeah, yeah.
And I don't get mad at them. I the only thing that I get mad about the attorney ads is those stupid jingles wind up in my head
Oh,
in the middle of the
yeah.
day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking, the little earworm.
Yeah, yeah. They all have catchy little tunes and it drives me nuts. I remember
Well,
when I worked for a carrier a long time ago, I said that to him. I said, and he goes, "That firm has a jingle?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going to send it to you."
oh my gosh. Did he hate you for it?
He did, yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah. So what else are you thankful for?
I am thankful for the fact that my daughter is in this business as well and seems to enjoy it as much as I do. I'm
So you get
thankful
to
for
work
her.
with your daughter. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. She's on her first year. October was the anniversary of her
Yay.
licensing. So
Happy
uh,
anniversary. Yeah.
she's out there doing good stuff. So
Awesome.
it's fun. And I'm thankful for all my kids, not even the ones that don't work for me.
Yeah. That could probably be a little much, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done a pretty
I
good
think your
job
wife
of
would get
keeping things
tired.
separate. Well, I mean, anybody who works with family, like
So,
that could be a whole other episode. But like
yeah.
we keep things separate. Like if she wants to talk to me about or text me about personal stuff, she uses my cell phone number and
Yeah.
texts me that way. If it's business stuff, there's a chat that we have through the business system
Yeah. Yeah.
and same with phone calls. She doesn't call the business line if she wants to talk about, you know, what I want for Christmas.
Right.
So
Right.
So, and how about you? Anything else?
Um,
Your pets?
yeah, I am thankful for Blue. I'm thankful that he is calming down. Now, if he will only learn how to do daylight, I guess it's daylight savings time. Is that what we did where we fell back?
Oh, he's on a
Because
different schedule.
yeah, he's still waking us up at 4:30 now. He's like, y'all aren't awake yet. Why aren't you awake? And we're like, dude, like reset your clock. Um, so yeah, thankful for living in Kansas. It's a really great place, you know.
That's interesting. So I've never been there. And what is the geography like there? Is it flat or hilly or a little of both?
It's a little of both. You usually think of Kansas as being really flat, right? So 10 miles we hit Missouri, and Missouri is hilly and wooded, and right about where we are in Overland Park area, we do kind of have the plains a little bit. Um, about 40 miles from us is the tall grass prairie,
Hmm.
and it is rolling hills, and that's kind of fun. We literally have buffalo roaming.
Yeah,
So
that's neat.
that is pretty cool. That is
I'm
very
from
cool.
Buffalo. We don't have buffalo in
You don't
Buffalo
have buffalo, but see that
unless you went
sucks.
to the zoo.
Uh, so I think they call them bison though. I don't know if there's
Yeah,
really a difference,
I
but
don't either.
I call them buffalo. So, but yeah, and then you go in the middle of the state, it's very flat. Although I have been to the tallest point in Kansas. It's called Strawberry, uh, Mount Strawberry, and
Interesting.
yeah, it literally, oh no, Sunflower. That's what it's called, Mount Sunflower, naturally,
Got it.
and yeah, it is literally just a hill. It
Well, I would
it's.
say the same thing about living out here in the Finger Lakes region. We have the hills here are almost mountains,
Mm.
and in between we have these long Finger Lakes.
Oh yeah,
And
like in the
it's
valleys.
yep, and
Hmm.
they were all cut by the glaciers, millions of years ago, and it's just a beautiful area. There's wineries all over the place here.
Is it warm
Um,
enough up there for
the
the?
weather is really good for wine
Oh
up
wow.
here. Yeah. Um, the because the frost hits, they harvest just before the frost.
Mm,
So, and sometimes the frost will come early or late or whatever. Like if it comes early in the spring, it kills all the buds, and then
mm.
they don't have any grapes for the fall. But yeah, we have all those. There's a huge growth of craft breweries up here,
Oh yeah.
and that's a lot of fun. So you can go on tours get a bus, get a bunch of people. You can go do the brewery tours. We like we're members of one of the wineries here where we go. It's like a club, and you go down every few months and you get a box of stuff,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, it's great fun. So
That's
so
awesome.
I'm
Like we've
thankful for that too.
yes. So I'm thankful that we're done. So
Yeah,
how about that? So let's go
yeah,
eat some turkey, and we're actually not going to have turkey this year. We're going to have like a pork loin, I think, or a
interesting.
porchetta, I think is what Aaron's cooking. He's cooking a porchetta.
I don't know what we're doing because the actual Thanksgiving Day, we're probably going to be loading up a moving truck. So
I
it's a one of those weird ones this year.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chantel, great to talk to you again,
Good to
and
talk
I'm
with you.
looking forward to the next one. And thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks for
Bye.
joining us on the Art of Adjusting podcast, where we talk about life as an insurance adjuster.
If you enjoyed this podcast or this episode, please give us 5 stars and a review. It does help the algorithm pick us up.
Hit that subscribe button real quick and tell all of your adjuster friends to check this out as well. For independent adjusting services, go to www.auten.claims. And for anyone interested in working as an independent liability adjuster, go to the Contact Us tab to join our roster.
In the meantime, you can contact me at theartofadjusting.com for consulting and training purposes.